who am I and why did I create this channel? What is the point? Do I just like to hear my own voice, or am I here to sell something? Okay, so I am here. There are two main goals of this channel, although ideas are still evolving. I have a lot of ideas and plans of how this will materialize. But my two main goals are, number one, to give advice to people that are leaving insular environments, whether it was growing up in a cult or extreme religion or just very restrictive environment, and you realize you're an adult or almost an adult and you want to live your own life. So I went through this, so I feel that at this point I have enough experience to share a thing or two. I've been out in the secular world for about 7 years. It's not very long, but it's, like I said, it's long enough to know some things, and I would love to impart my knowledge, the knowledge that I have acquired. The second goal of mine for this channel is for everyday people, anyone and everyone who was ever curious about what it is like to grow up in a very religious community or environment and what it takes to leave. Just curiosity, education, explaining the little nuances and the big things, maybe some lingo. So the people I encounter are very often interested in my story, and I realized that instead of just constantly repeating my story, which is sometimes tiring, I'd rather just document a lot of it here and direct them to the channel. And then the people that are looking for help because they're scared to leave, or they have already left and they could use extra advice, or they wish to remain anonymous, this would be a good way for them to listen to other people's stories and without having to risk exposing themselves or having their secret come out. Yes, so here I am, and basically my own story. And this is really a summary. There's a lot that I will still share, and a lot that I may share, and a lot that I will never share. But just the basic summary is that I was raised in Williamsburg in an ultra Hasidic community. Hasidic Jews are one of the most orthodox sects. On top of that, my family is rabbinic, which means that all of my grandparents were rabbis, starting back in Europe and here in New York City when they moved here after the war. So there were extra high standards for myself and my family because we had to be like role models. There were a lot of rules and laws, laws that apply to all Orthodox Jews, but some on top of them that my family upheld that was even stricter. I went to an all-girls school. Segregation of the genders is strictly enforced. Marriages are arranged. People get married very young unless they have problems, which I'll discuss at another point, what's considered a problem and when they have a difficult time getting married. The average age is 18 or 19 years old, up or down a year or two. But that's the standard. For the women, as soon as they graduate high school, they get engaged and get married, have babies right away. And for the men, when they finish yeshiva. I was in an arranged marriage myself, and it was not an easy experience. I may go into further detail at another point. Even more difficult than the marriage itself was getting divorced, because according to ultra-Orthodox law, the man has to give the divorce if he doesn't want to grant the woman a get, as it's called. She is technically chained to him forever. She can never get remarried again. And she's basically stuck. And I had to go through that for a little bit. I had to pay a lot of money to get the get. At that point, even though I had my doubts and I knew I didn't want to live a very extreme lifestyle, I was still religious and I still believed in the system, so I needed that get. But shortly after I finally got it, I started becoming more open-minded and I wanted to make a new life for myself. From when I was just a little bit more modern until I left, took about 2 years, and then at age 23 I realized that I don't believe anymore. There's a lot more to the story, but just like I said, just a summary, and I left the Orthodox fold. I officially became non-observant and a non-believer, and tried then to, that's when all the major changes happened. I moved for the first time out of the community. I started thinking about going to school. At first I still worked the religious jobs, and then I tried inching my way out of that as well. It was a very rough few years of transitioning, and by the way, the transition is still happening. It's a lifelong process. Sometimes it does not happen overnight, just like I didn't leave overnight. I didn't like pack a bag and leave from one second to the next. The getting acclimated to the secular world could take forever. Then a couple of years later, I finally enrolled in college, which was definitely a big milestone in my life and definitely set me on track, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm still in college. I'm graduating next year. I'm studying psychology and linguistics, and I am thankfully very successful in school. I work hard. That's mostly my life nowadays. I also try to travel in my spare time, and I try to be cultured. Many things that were foreign to me that I had to get used to were new foods, because if you keep kosher, there's a limitation on what you're allowed to put into your mouth. Music, art, anything in culture, science, math, from school to extracurricular stuff. A whole new world opened for me. Many worlds opened for me. Life is filled with ups and downs for everyone, but especially when you transition, there are moments of exhilaration and excitement of, oh, I tried this for the first time, this is new, and then you get used to everything at some point, and then there are difficult days that are very, very hard. And again, almost everything I'm touching on here could have 5 videos on their own to elaborate. Right now, as I said, I'm taking classes. I'm going to study abroad in 2 weeks, which I'm very excited about, and I want to document my travels as well. That is it for now. That's the story in a nutshell, and hopefully, if you've watched till here, you will continue watching and will benefit something from my videos, whether it's a new point of view, practical tips, insight, and even if you're here because you can't stand people who leave and you're trying to find something to fight with, you're also welcome, and you're welcome to leave comments. This is open to all. The only thing I will not tolerate is hatred or non-constructive comments. So here goes. My name is Libelle, or Libby, depending on my mood or however people nickname me. Maybe I'll still change it again, but for now that's my name, and welcome to all, and I will see you again soon.